It's Tuesday, the 15th of July, 2025. It's coffee time with Peter Gomez on West Coast Radio, 92.1 on FM, online www.wcr.gm. We thank Ja Oil and Wave for our presence on YouTube. We are with the Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. Just a moment ago, we were talking about Starlink. Here's another question dragging us back to the topic. Good morning, Peter. Can you ask the Honorable Minister about the status of the approval to allow Starlink to operate in the Gambia? The internet is very critical in the development of this country, just like the road networks and electricity. I know some in the country have concerns because it is owned by Elon Musk, but it should be looked at in a different lens, just like when we had the Turkish boat providing electricity when NAWEC could not handle the load. We need stable and fast internet just like our neighbors. Fast internet will create so many indirect employment in this country. I want to start an IT business in the Gambia, but my biggest hurdle is a stable and fast internet.
Yes, I think if you look at one of the strategic priorities of this government is to enhance our digital infrastructure. That is key. And remember, currently we have the subsea cable we are using, the ACE, is phasing out. We are working very hard as a government for its replacement. But also the last mile connectivity as well is important to ensure that every Gambian has access to the internet, no matter where you live. That is our priority. That is where we are working towards enhancing and investing in the digital infrastructure, the backbone. Now, yes, people might think that Starlink is the solution, but not necessarily so if you know how Starlink operates. I'm not trying to condemn Starlink. I'm not trying to make it negative. I just want people to understand that bringing Starlink also will not solve the problem of making sure that every Gambian has access to internet. So because we've done our due diligence, we looked at how they operate in other countries. And for us, it's about regulation. Like I said, our regulatory frameworks are not new enough to accommodate satellite technology now as we speak, and we are working on that. And once that is not done, you cannot also allow an entity to operate when they don't fit in within your regulatory framework. Currently, that's what the minister is working on, looking at all the regulatory frameworks to ensure that when Starlink comes to operate, there are no violations of our regulations. So that is it. Like I said, our regulations are not new regulations. They don't cater for some of the new technologies, and these things must be looked at very carefully. Whatever we do as a country, we do it for the interest of Gambians and to protect the sovereign integrity of this country. So therefore, whatever we do, we want to promote the private sector. We know that the government has that. That is one of our priorities, to protect and promote the private sector, because we believe that the private sector must thrive to promote national development. Now, Starlink coming will also enhance the private sector because it will create more businesses, more opportunities. It will also provide access to internet to some people, yes. But if you look at Starlink startup cost also, the man in Jara West might not afford Starlink startup cost because they go up to $700-800 to get their devices. So will it really expand internet access to rural communities? That is something that is debatable. But for us, that is not what is important. What is important is that it has to do with regulatory issues, and the minister is working hard to make sure that when Starlink is licensed, they are regulatory compliant.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. Can you ask Dr. Ceesay whether he is happy with all the government policies, and given that no system is perfect, what areas in Barrow's administration does he think need improvement?
That's a very difficult question. If I'm happy with all the policies, well, I support all policies that is promoted by this government because I'm part of this government, and I cannot openly come out and criticize a particular policy. That will be self-defeating. If I have a policy to criticize, I criticize it from within in cabinet. I make my views known. That's what they call collective responsibility in cabinet. Whether you support a policy or not, you must not come out to critique that policy. Even if you are not minister anymore, You cannot at any time, and this is one of the oaths we take before assuming office, that even if you leave office and I'm not minister anymore, I cannot come and critique a particular policy that was taken when I was in cabinet. It's called collective responsibility. So I cannot come out and critique government policies. All I can do is support government policies, even if I don't like those policies. But once it is passed and it is policy, I must support it and I must promote it.
Good morning, Uncle. Can the minister confirm or deny that Tambadu's nomination being withdrawn has anything to do with the asset sales controversy?
No, it has not. It's got nothing to do with asset sales controversy. That I can confirm to you that it has nothing to do with the asset sales controversy. Because Mr. Tambadu hasn't been found wanting or adversely mentioned in any commission of inquiry, which is that he is found to be engaging in any wrongdoing in the asset sale. So government will not withdraw prematurely his candidacy based on that.
Are you saying government has not withdrawn?
Government has withdrawn, but it is not based on the asset sales.
Okay, so why has government withdrawn?
Well, I think it has to do with to support Nigeria's candidacy. Nigeria is also competing, and I think the Gambia government's position... Was
the Nigerian candidate not always there when Ba was seeking...
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how whether it was there or not. That I don't know. What I can confirm is that the candidacy is withdrawn, and it has to do with supporting a Nigerian candidate.
Okay, so the Gambia dumps its own in order to support another...
Well, I don't know how it went. I don't know the details. I don't know how... What I can confirm is that, yes, the candidature is withdrawn, and it is support Nigeria's candidate. That I can confirm.
What are the definite plans for the situation at Churchilltown Junction around Jar Oil Filling Station? That place is a nightmare during the rains, and the NRA doesn't seem to be able to do anything about that place.
Well, I think NRA should be able to do something about that place. NRA has engineers that are competent enough to be able to solve any some such structural issues. We will have to bring it to their attention. So they'll have to look at it. The NRA has a new acting director who is a very smart young man, Mr. Sol Sumare. I'll bring this to his attention, and perhaps they are able to do something about it.
Hi, Uncle Peter. Can you ask the minister, Pavi Fort Gambia have been closed due to high debts, and they haven't paid their workers for almost 2.5 months.
Well, I'm not aware of that.
Who is Pavi Fort?
It's one of the companies building some of the urban 50-kilometer routes,
really?
Particularly the ones around the Bijilo, Kololi area. So I'm not aware about this particular unfortunate situation, so I cannot comment on it.
If cats are present within the airport, it's a problem. We spoke about cats earlier on. That's why people traveling with pet animals have special cages and places within the flight. Some people are allergic to cats, which can be fatal, and some are just not comfortable with them.
Well, I'm not saying that cats are, like I said, my argument is I've not seen a cat at the airport, and if one cat appears once in a while and disappears again, that should not lead to a national emergency. Yes, when cats travel, they are caged because they are traveling long-haul flights. That's a different case. If you see a cat appear at the airport, we don't know why at the airport. Is it at the main terminal building? Is it at the VIP lounge? Is it at the waiting lounge? We don't know where. Is it at the... So obviously, yes. I mean, the GCAA, that is the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, it is their mandate to manage the airport. If they believe that there is an infestation of cats in the airport...
Mamadou Sambu writing, hi Uncle Peter, I really like and admire Dr. Ismaila Cisse, sorry. I like him so much and appreciate him. Can you please ask him how the first batch that went to Spain for the circular migration are doing, and when is the second batch leaving the Gambia?
Well, I'm not sure. I can answer both questions. I've not got any information yet as to how they are doing. I mean, I presuppose they are doing fine. They said no good news. No news is good news. We have not heard anything. It means that they are working. Currently, they've started. They might have started their work. So I would suggest, I would assume that they are doing very well. Now, when it comes to the next batch, I think the interviews will continue. The first batch was 39 people. I think altogether we need 300 people, if I get it right, if I get my numbers right.
We are a long... Is it 300 or 350?
I think it's 350. 350, yeah. 350, yes. For the first batch, it's 39. And this thing is a continuing process. The interviews take some time. And remember, it's a multi-agency interview. You get the Spanish embassy in Dakar, some Spanish embassy officials here, doing the interviews, and these interviews takes time. So that is why they go in, they go them in batches. So 39 has gone. I think very soon another batch will go until we get all 350.
Hi, Uncle Peter. It is important to have Starlink in the country to help stabilize internet connectivity and reduce the high cost of internet. And please ask the minister if CBG have a Fintech policy in place to properly supervise the growing Fintech industry in the Gambia. Before you go to the second part, the first part, you were talking about, the cost element regarding Starlink. Well, this person seems to suggest that Starlink coming will actually knock prices down.
Well, it depends. Like I said, Peter, it depends on by how much and how. I know that
knocking down is knocking down. Even if they were going to knock it down by $2, that's knocking down the price.
But what I'm saying is that it all depends. Like I said, we've looked at other countries where they're operating. What I don't want to do here is to come and talk negative about Starlink or positive about Starlink. That's not my job. What I can talk about is government's approach to licensing Starlink, which has to do with regulatory compliance. And we are going to make sure that when they are registered, they are compliant insofar as...
So it's a when, it's not if they are registered. It's a when. So the process will only delay.
It's on, but we need to do the due diligence. We need to make sure that when we register Starlink is new technology, Peter. It's new.
When denotes certainty other than if probability is probability?
I mean, it depends on, I don't know the outcome of this due diligence, how it will go. So I cannot say whether they'll be licensed or not. Every country has a right, when you receive an application for license, look at it, due diligence, look at the regulatory requirements. If they meet it, you give it to them. If they don't, and you know that bringing them will be not in the national interest, you wouldn't. So obviously I wouldn't know exactly how the outcome will be, so I cannot comment on that. What I can comment on is that, yes, we know that many people think that when Starlink comes, it will solve all our internet problems. Experience elsewhere said that is not normally the case. So people need to be, have an open mind about this. We wouldn't have any reason to stop Starlink if we know that they meet the requirements so far regulation is concerned. So we are working on that, and then governments will be informed in once a decision is made on Starlink issue. Now, on the second question, it has to do with
CBG and regulating the fintech industry.
Of course, I mean fintech is it has to do with the finances. You cannot have a fintech that is not unregulated. Fintech is regulated.
All right. Honorable Minister, what concrete steps are being taken to address the growing safety and hygiene concerns at the Coastal Road Market? The area has become increasingly dangerous for pedestrians. Vans and commercial drivers often disregard traffic rules. The road is congested and unsanitary, and market stalls continue to obstruct free movement. Many of us struggle daily to navigate the area safely. Can you please inform the public whether there are any plans to relocate the market to a safer, better organized space, and what collaboration exists with the local area council to enforce traffic and sanitation regulations? What does it really take to fix this problem?
That is one of the failures of the local councils. The Brikama Area Council is responsible for that market, and clearly what we are seeing in that market is a failure of responsibility of the local area council, the Brikama Area Council, in taking care of that market. And what sometimes amazes me, Peter, is when I see the chairman digging some few holes in Brikama behind some fences, and people are saying, "Oh, the chairman is walking." West Coast region is anywhere from Kalaji to Katong all the way to Bijilo. And it means that when you have a council to take care of, you must have a strategy to make sure that you deal with all these problems within the jurisdiction of West Coast region. You cannot just go and dig a few holes in some few areas in Brikama, and you are saying you saw those things on Facebook Live, and people are saying, "Oh, he's walking." That shows. I mean, sometimes I wonder how we think, but that is a failure of the Brikama Area Council. The situation at that market, Coastal Road, is unacceptable. That is why the President, His Excellency, is now intervening, and by building that road that connects Coastal Road roundabout all the way up He's working, and that is why even the last time we did a road inspection there, because it's really unacceptable. But I think the Brikama Area Council must really up their game and make sure that they deal with the situation.
No, that guy sent in a text to ask what government can do. Already he recognizes the failure of the Brikama Area Council. Now he's coming to you to find out if there's anything you as a government can do to help them.
Because well, okay, that's we'll take note of that. We'll take note of this, and I'll engage the relevant authorities and see what can be done about the situation. Where the councils fail, government must step in, and we will step in.
All right. Hello, Peter and Ismaila. You two have mentioned a whole lot of accesses, but not access to roads. I am on crutches, limping. In this rainy season, I am either almost always compelled to sit back or risk hurting myself or swim in poto, trying to navigate the muddy and waterlogged access roads on my way to work. Could the minister tell the audience what his government can do to help people like myself?
Well, it's a difficult situation, and I really feel for him, and I sympathize with him with his situation. The government has a policy to make sure that every Gambian lives in dignity, that every Gambian fulfills their potential, and every Gambian has access to all the services they have. That is government policy, and that is government's priority. And I think when it comes to the infrastructure, that is our government is constantly building the roads. Yes, Poto is still there. We cannot build all the roads at the same time, but I think we've done a lot. If you go to the Kololi, Bijilo areas, we've built a lot of roads. We've done a lot of transformations there. And we'll get there. Yes, challenges still exist, but these are challenges we cannot just solve within one day. We are taking note of some of these complaints, and then we'll see what we can do as a government to make sure that, but as a government, our priority of His Excellency is to ensure every Gambian, no matter where you live, no matter where you are born in this country, no matter your ability or disability, you live in dignity. That every Gambian, no matter where you are born, you are able to fulfill your potential. We want to create those conditions. That is why we are doing all these investments in the social services, in education, in healthcare, but also in youth empowerment and youth empowerment. That is why we are investing in infrastructure. We are building roads, we are building schools, we are building universities, just to ensure that Gambians also get access to this service as well. That is why we are helping farmers with seeds, with fertilizer, and also with all other forms of support with equipment. All to ensure that every Gambian, no matter where you are working, what you want to do, you fulfill your potential. But like I said, we cannot solve all the 1 million problems of this country in one day. It's a process. We've inherited a bad system. We've inherited a twisted system. We've inherited systems where there were no investments in energy, no investments in education, no investments in healthcare, and we are doing it now. We've also inherited a system within very difficult circumstances. When we came into power in 2017, when His Excellency came to power, he started the reforms. Then there was COVID. Then there are wars. But yet, he is able to increase salaries for the force in unprecedented, more than 3 times, over 110% for Gambians. When other countries are reducing salaries, also laying off workers. We are still employing people. There is no scarcity in this country. All basic commodities you need are available. We're able to stabilize prices. We're able to bring inflation down from 17% to almost 8.1%. Our economy is growing, and it will go to 5.9% by the end of this year. We are working towards universal access to electricity and energy. We're providing water for the people. We're building classrooms, over 6,000 classrooms we've built amid all these challenges. So I think we are getting there. But yes, challenges still exist, and we'll take note of some of these challenges, and we'll make sure that we also redouble our efforts to ensure that every Gambian lives in dignity.
Is the Ministry of Trade monitoring the weight of bread? The bread made is back to normal size, and consumers cannot use their time and money just to report $2 increment.
Well, I'm not sure whether they are doing it, but I know that we must enforce any policy that is from government. If there are standards for the weight of bread, those standards must be followed. And I think the Ministry of Trade and relevant authorities must do whatever is possible to enforce these regulations.
My question is, why do people, especially government officials, not respect the laws of the land in this regime? In Jammeh's time, people really feared the law. So what is different?
Well, nobody is above the law in this country. Nobody is above the law, and laws are to be complied with, or there are consequences. So we will not encourage that, and we are not encouraging it. As a government of His Excellency the President Adama Barrow, he has emphasized on many occasions that nobody is above the law. Anybody who is found wanting of the law, there must be consequences. So we don't encourage that. And like I said, the police are not everywhere. Citizens also must take responsibility and report any circumstances where they found that people are breaking the law to the police. That is how community policing also works. So we are saying, as a government, our policy is that nobody is above the law, and anybody who breaks the law, there are consequences. That is our policy.
All right. Your colleague minister, the Minister of Trade, listening, of course, and helping answer one of the questions you couldn't answer. Hello, Brother Peter, he says, a second batch of 50 men and women were selected this week to serve 2 farmers, and the process of securing their visas will commence soon.
Yes, I've just seen it now.
Okay, you should be checking your you should be checking your phones often.
Yes, so that is good news. At least the question is answered. A second batch will be were selected last week, and they are securing their visas. That will take you to 89 altogether.
Oh, okay.
So it's work in progress.
Yeah, I'm trying to open something on the standard here. We spoke about the Starlink and the headline I spoke of. Thank you very much, Lamin Cham. Just sending this. The headline in the Standard says, government taking due diligence despite U.S. pressure for Starlink's license. Following international media reports accusing the U.S. government of placing intense diplomatic pressure on the Gambia to fasten regulatory approval of Starlink with threats of possible funding freeze, the Minister of Digital Economy, Lamin Jabi, yesterday, whenever this thing was published, confirmed in the National Assembly that both the U.S. Department and its embassy in Banjul have been persistent in urging Gambia to fast-track license approval for Elon Musk's Starlink company. Mr. Jabi made these remarks in response to Banjul Central Representative Abdullah Njai, who asked the minister about the reported U.S. diplomatic pressure and what safeguards exist to ensure regulatory decisions on critical digital infrastructure remain insulated from undue foreign influence or aid-related coercion.
Well, like I said, the minister is focused on doing what he's supposed to do, and I don't think he's moved by this. Well, if you call it a pressure, I'm not aware of that. Like I said, what I know is that he's working to ensure that when Starlink is registered, they comply with national regulations.
Please ask the minister, who is this person going around with his or her number plate covered and why?
I wouldn't know, to be honest.
Who is this person? Well, we need...
And I think it needs to be clear. Government's policy is clear on this. Nobody should cover their number plates because it has implications. No matter who you are, whether you are a public official or not, you must not cover your number plate, and your cars must at all times be having a plate so it can be identified. So it is not government policy, and government does not encourage it.
Okay, you want to leave here at sharp 9 o'clock. I'll just ask one short question on behalf of the texter. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Are government policies treated in secrecy to an extent that even if you leave government, one cannot openly criticize? So when you leave government, you cannot criticize a policy.
It's not secrecy.
You never agreed with.
No, what I'm saying is that the policy is out there. Whenever government makes policy, the policy is announced, obviously. So policies are known to the public because the public must know. But what I can say is that you cannot be going out criticizing a policy that you were part of making the policy in line with collective responsibility. You cannot do that. That is one of the oaths that you take as a cabinet minister. Cabinet decisions are made under collective responsibility. Even if you don't agree, even if you vehemently oppose to that particular policy in cabinet and you make your case, once the policy is passed in cabinet, you cannot come out and criticize that policy either now or later. That is, in fact, that is even good practice. Because that is what is happening. So, but it doesn't mean the policy is secretive. The policy is out there. Everyone knows about the policy. Because if people don't know the policy, they cannot comply with the policy. So the policy is out there. But you as a minister who were a part of those making the policy cannot come out to criticize a particular policy. It's a policy, is government. And government, you speak with one voice. You cannot be criticizing your own government's policy. It's not correct.
It's 9 o'clock. Dr. Cisse, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That was the Minister of Information Broadcasting and Information Media and Broadcasting Services.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mënulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bisul mu fay.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh. Yes!
Wave Accent Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine. Wave. Your money is yours.